I see people use fountain pens and even dip pens for drawing and art pieces. What are the best pens or nibs to use for these applications? Are there specific nibs that work better for different types of artwork? Well, Sammy the Sammer, pens are tools, and depending on what it is you're trying to do, you may have different tools for different jobs. And I am not an artist. Maybe I am in my own right, but I am not a drawing, sketching kind of artist. So I'm not an artist in that medium. So I'm definitely speaking a bit out of my element here, but I can speak in somewhat of generalities and say that there's a lot of different tools that I see people use, and I've literally seen people use everything from shaved down bamboo grass, sticks with holes cut in them, and just you name it. I mean, literally it's like whatever tool goes for whatever effect you're trying to get. As far as actual fountain pens go, some of the ones that have been generally fairly popular and universally, kind of recommended. One is the Lamy Joy. Liz Steele, if you're familiar with her and her urban sketching, she's a big fan of the Lamy Joy. She likes the white one. This is the black one. This is one I happen to have in my little collection here, so I pulled the black one, but she likes the white one. She likes it because it's long and really well balanced, so it just really works for her. A lot of people kind of dig that, and it's got kind of a, desk pen kind of look going on to it there. So it's got swappable nibs too, so that's kind of nice. You can change it up. You can get, extra fine nib and get really fine kind of cross hatching and stuff like that, or you get something broader and do more broad strokes. Something a similar pen to that one, a little less versatile, but also a little less money too, is the Platinum Carbon desk pen. So it comes in two different nibs, extra fine and a medium. The one that I like is the extra fine because it's a Japanese extra fine. It is quite extra fine, so it's really good when you're trying to get fine details with your artwork. So that could be really good for you. So check that out, and it's cheap. It's only like $12.50. Other really popular ones are flex nib pens, like the Noodler's ones specifically, partly because they're really low cost, partly because for the price, they're a really good value, and they're generally pretty good pens for doing artwork. From what I understand from most art folk. So I have the Nib Creeper here, which is the thinner one. Some people like that kind of thinner style. It's really just a personal preference thing. I like the Ahab. It's a fatter pen. It's a bigger nib, so I feel I have a little more control with an Ahab. But it costs a little bit more. It's almost twice the price, so you got to take that into account. But either one is a pretty good pen, and they hold a pretty decent volume of ink too. So when you have a flex nib, it's going to use a lot of ink, and that can really help when you're using these. They have a lot of different colors and styles too of those, and I know a lot of folks, in fact, the artwork that I have right here, that was done with a Noodler's Ahab by a famous artist, Said Nokon. He's a comic book artist. And then last but not least, I have a Pilot Metropolitan. Also pretty popular. It's an inexpensive pen, lots of different colors and stuff you can choose from, and it has a pretty fine nib, so that can be really good too. And you can also get it with a stub nib if you want. So that's a decent option. And the last thing I don't have one to show you, but like a brush pen. So you can use a Waterbrush pen or whatever. You can use it for ink washing and stuff. A lot of people use that. As far as dip pens, I don't really have anything to share with you because that is totally not my forte, especially when you're talking about using dip pens for artwork. We have now sidestepped into outside of Brian's realm of expertise, and all I could really do is say, check Instagram. There's a lot of people doing some cool stuff on there. That's not really my wheelhouse, but it's certainly something that you can look into. There's a lot of folks that are doing that kind of stuff. And if you're doing that, trying to use fountain pen ink with dip pens is sometimes hit or miss because it's a more liquid ink. For fountain pens, it flows more. So some dip nibs, the ink literally just doesn't hang on to the nib. So calligraphy ink is thicker. India ink, calligraphy ink, lawyer's ink, whatever you want to call it. It's all thicker and it hangs on to those calligraphy nibs better. Fountain pen ink is more fluid, so you get into a place. That's why it's not really as much my focus, because once you get into that world, you're really getting into different nib holders, different nibs, different ink, different paper, even sometimes. So you're kind of like, all right, it's really kind of a completely different thing. Even though it's not that different, it's a sidestepping into a different area. So I don't have a lot for you there, but that's what I do have. So hope you found something of a nugget to pull out of that.